September 1st, 1939.
In 1939 I was drafted to the army. And they shipped me on the German-Polish border. A little bit later, the war broke out, and I became a prisoner on the second day. And then they took me I was wounded. They took me to the hospital. After a few weeks, they shipped me to Germany. In Germany, I was working as a furrier, about a half a year, and then I started receiving letters from camp that they are exchanging Jewish prisoners to Poland. Of course, I start getting in touch with the camp, and I start telling my boss I want to go back to camp. They start telling me that I'm better off here, and they'll make me papers. I should remain in Germany, but I have a family. And at that time, I wanted to go back home, and they had to ship me back to the camp. When I came back to the camp, then started trouble. They took off the clothes, they took everything away, and they threw me in a special company for the Jewish prisoners of war. From there, they shipped me to Poland. When we came to Poland, Lublin, then we were about 2,500 Polish prisoners, and they started taking us every day to work. And they treated us very bad. The Judenrat from Lublin, I wanted to know that. The Judenrat from Lublin supposed to give them, the government, the Polish government, 2,000-3,000 people every day to work to build the Majdanek. So of course that time they did business. There was already a ghetto, but they were free to go out, to buy, to do business, and they didn't want to give their own people, so they bought us like slaves, and they put us to work. That's a true story. So we were working there every day to work. We were building the Majdanek. In the evening they used to bring us back to the camp. The food was terrible, just water and peels and potatoes. And that was treating the own Jewish people to us. After the Majdanek was built, we remained in the same camp of Lipova, and they created all the kind of factories, tailors, carpenters, mechanics, and all the 2,500 prisoners. They were young soldiers, and everybody had a trade, of course. So everybody was working in the shops there. I was working like a furrier, and later on, I became a Gruppenführer. I used to take out the war prisoners, about 10, 15, outside the camp to fix, that was carpenters. And we used to fix all around the fence to take care of the fence from the camp. Then we got some connections there with some Polish partisans from the underground. And they start promising us that they are going to help us. And we start, little by little, we bought from them some pistols, ammunitions, and we start accumulate in this camp. And we were hoping one day we'll need them. And they all come to help us to survive. But everything was false. They took all the money away, whatever we possessed, and they never helped us. It just was big lies. We were working in camp for a little longer there, and from time to time I used to bring in some food because I had the right to go out from camp to look over around the fence. So we got some Polish people, they used to bring us bread, of course for money, and we used to take a ride over the fence in the camp. Later, they took me away from camp, me and two other friends, and to work outside the camp. In the beginning, they used to bring us every day to camp. Later on, we were sleeping over there where we were working. Over there, I was about 2-3 months working there in this camp. And at that time, a few friends escaped from this camp, and they were hiding in the city. And from time to time, they used to come to us, and we used to get together on making plans to escape to the underground. At that time was the underground Haka, a Polish underground. And they always told us stories that any time when we are ready or we want to escape, they'll help us. They have, in the woods, they have ready-made bunkers, and someday they are going to attack, and they go out to free us. So one day I came to the camp, and they called me to the office. So I came to the office, and they told me a story that something broke in the place where I used to work. I was like a superintendent there, and the other friends worked in the restaurant. So it looked to me funny, but when they call, I have to go because I'm a prisoner. So they took me with a guard, took me out of the camp, and they took me to the Gestapo, because this place where I used to work belonged to the Gestapo. So at that time, I came there, and I saw that they called me not because something is broken. They took me in an office, and one of these leaders started talking to me, that he knows a lot of things about our camp. He knows that we have pistols, we have even a machine gun, and we have contact with the underground, with the Polish underground. He knows everything, but he wants to know a little more. So I told him that I don't know anything about it. It's new to me, what he tells me. And I go out every day to work, and in the evening I come back in the camp, and I don't know from anything. Then he got mad, and he started banging the table, or he started telling me my name, Kriegsgefangene Shai Holzman, number this and that, has contact with the underground, and he bought in pistols in camp, and signed Karash. At that time I saw that he knows a lot, and Karash was one of the chauffeurs who worked in the same place where I worked, and he was coming every evening to me in my room and telling me that he belongs to the Haka, to the Polish underground, and he'll give me help, and he himself sold me two pistols. So I got very mad, and I saw that he's a traitor. So I told this Gestapo man that he should give me a couple days, and if we do have something in camp, it's only through these dogs like this carriage. And if he'll give me a position and I should be able to go out from camp and come back, in a few weeks I'll be able to tell him by the Polish who sold me these guns. So of course he believed me and he wrote me down a position and he gave it to me and he shook hands with me, and I was in a uniform, Polish uniform at that time, and I saluted him and I walked out. I don't know from where I had the courage that time, but God was with me and he believed me, and I left this place. But when I left, I remember that he made with his eyes to somebody, so I understood that they are going to fire me. So when I walked out from the Gestapo, I knew that nobody from Gestapo can walk out. When they bring him to the Gestapo, nobody goes out alive from there. When I came to the door, two soldiers were staying with the bayonets, and they asked me where I'm going. So I showed him the position, and they saluted me and they opened the door, they let me out. But I felt that somebody is in back of me. When I walked out from there, I didn't walk to camp, I walked back to the place where I walked. And I had something there, hidden, 2 guns, ammunition, some money. I took everything with me, but I went up to the kitchen where I was friendly with some Polish people there, and I told them that they should be very careful with this guy, Karsh, because he is a traitor, and he told the Germans about me, and someday he'll tell about you, and some others. I'm going to escape, but someday, if I'll be alive, I'll take care of him. After I came back to camp, in the same evening, I called like a little session for the leaders from this camp, from Lepora. And I told the whole story what happened. And I told them we should right away, we were a little bit organized. And I thought at that time is the proper time to do something. If we could have taken over the camp in no time, because we were a little bit organized and there was only about 3-4 Germans and a few Russian also guards. And we could take over the camp in no time. We could escape the whole camp, but they were against it. They said we'll wait another few weeks. I told them that I can't stay anymore here, because if I stay a day or two, I have to report back to the Gestapo there, and I'll have to tell them something, and I don't want to have nobody on my mind. So the same night, of course, I was already watched from the leaders from the camp who worked for the Germans. And every 2-3 hours they checked on me if I'm in camp or I left the camp. The same night, I usually used to take in some transports of bread to the camp, and I used to pay the guards with a bottle of whiskey or something, they should let me take it in. That was Ukrainian guards. So I told one of the guards that this night I have to take in some transport of bread, and usually he got always his bottle or whatever I used to give him. He used to come in the barrack where I used to sleep. I slept on the 2nd floor from the bed. The bed was 2 floors. On the top of my bed I had hiding a few things, a couple guns, ammunition, some money. So at that time I told the guard that tonight I'm going to bring in some bread, and if he wants, he should come to me, I'll give him a good drink. So of course he came, he was on guard this night, he came over on the top of my bed. I had a little table there, like a little room, and I opened up a big bottle of vodka, and I give him one glass after the other, and I made him drunk. I put on his uniform, I took the gun, and I went in the same spot where he's supposed to stay, and I jumped over the fence, and I start running. I had given to somebody a signal from outside that this night I'm going to escape. So I told one of a Polish friend, and he's supposed to wait for me. So when I escaped, and I jumped over the fence, and I start crawling, I went to the wrong, and on the other side of the fence was a line of buildings. In the basement used to live Polish janitors. In the building used to live Germans. So I was supposed to go to the third window, so I went to the first window, and there was a German, and he started hollering, verfluchtet, noch einmal, wer is there? So I saw it's not the right place. I started first crawling, and I jumped into the other place where I was supposed to go in, and they were waiting for me. And they dressed me. I took up the uniform, and they gave me some clothes from a farmer, and he took me to his barn, and we went behind the city in Lublin. Over there, I had a friend who was hiding there for a while, but I helped him to leave the camp, and he prepared a hiding place for us there. This place was bought for money what we paid to a Polish man, and he built it there, and a hiding place like a little farm. The farm had a real couple horses, pigs, and we made a place where we put in potatoes, a lot of potatoes. On the top made a little hill. When I came there, and I told my friend that I escaped, and the whole story what happened, that the Germans know about this camp, that they have ammunition, they have guns, they have everything. I told him that I told all my friends that the time is very short and we should use this time to escape. But they didn't want it, and they told me another few days, another few weeks. After a week, I find out that the camp was liquidated, because they came and they put up guards all around the camp, and they call like an appeal for all these friends, for my friends, and they didn't let them go back to the barracks, because they were afraid that they'll take the ammunition and the guns and they'll start shooting. They didn't let him go in back, and they took him to Majdanek. And the way to the Majdanek, didn't have any guns, nothing, but with a bare hand. Some of them threw on the Germans. They killed a few Germans. They took away some guns. And from the 2000, maybe escaped by 200. And the rest, the rest they took to Majdanek. From the 200, went to the woods. They ran wherever they could. Some of them landed up in the underground by the Hakar, but I find out that a little later survived only one or two from them, because the underground took from them away everything what they possessed, and they killed them.
The Hakar?
I want to tell another story that I forgot to tell before. The Hakar promised all the time that they'll help us. They'll help us to escape. On the Taurus, we should be prepared. We should send them by 80 young officers, and they'll prepare a place for us, for all of us. And we should bring with us whatever we have, the guns, the ammunition, and money, whatever we have. So that was one of this time when we were in this camp. 80 young boys went to the woods. They escaped from the camp, and they went to the Hakar. The Hakar put them in bunkers, and they told them big stories. They promised them a lot, and they took away from them the ammunition, the guns, the money. And one day they locked them up in the bunkers, and they put gas in, and they killed all of them. One from the 80 survived. He came back to camp, and he told us the whole story. At that time, we knew already that we don't have no friends, we have nobody. Whatever we can do by ourselves, that will be done. When I was at the hiding place, that was an old Polish railroad man. He used to work for the railroad. Every day he had 3 sons. 2 of them belonged also to the Hakar. They used to come and tell us stories that the Hakar is doing wonder, and they want to help us. And of course, they start asking us every time when they used to come to visit us, they used to ask us a few Polish money. Whatever we possessed, little by little, they took away everything. When they saw that they can't get any more from us, one evening they came on the towers that we can't stay here. They are afraid if they catch us, they'll kill the whole family. They'll take us to the underground, to the Hakar. But we know already what for our future would be for us if they'll take us there. So we keep postponing, refusing. When the Germans found a radio station by his father under the floor. And at that time, they arrested the whole family. They took him to a place in Lublin. They call it the Zamek. And they killed the whole family. We remained by ourselves at this hiding place at the farm. We were afraid to stay there, so we ran to the woods. I was on one tree, my friend was on another tree, and my friend had a Polish girl. She used to bring us food there. And we were there about 2 weeks on the trees. Then the Russian came near Lublin. They used to land on Spadoch. They used to land, partisans around Lublin. It got hot, so they started digging bunkers around the city. And they started digging around our place where we used to be. So we couldn't stay there anymore. So we went to the woods. When we went to the woods, this girl, my friend's girl came. She said she has a friend not far from here. A Polish bar also has a farm. We should go there to sleep for a couple nights, and then we'll figure out what to do. So we went there. And like we sitting there in the evening, one Polish man came in, and he recognized me because when I used to go out from work, he used to be around the camp to get something. So he recognized me right away. He said, "Oh, you are alive. I'm going to call the Germans." And he went away. So the Polish family where I stood there told me that I can't stay there anymore. She's afraid because he's a very bad man. I should run. So I had to run again. So we ran and we remained a little bit in the woods, and we ran away again, and we got some connections with some partisans. Around Lublin, that was Tomasz Lubelski. We were there, and we used to, once in a while we used to come back. Then we find out that this family, Murzyński, had from the family a very old man, another man who used to work for the railroad. So he found out that nobody's on the farm, so he came and he occupied this farm. One evening I came there and I knocked in the window. He opened up the window, and I told him that we build this place and everything. I'm sorry to hear what happened to his family, but if he wants to take care of us, we should come once in a while there. He should give us some food. After the war, we'll do something for him, and whatever the farm is worth, everything will belong to him. So we used to come in the night time. He used to make us some food. We used to eat, and for the day we used to go in the woods. Till very short before the Russian came, we got some connections, and we start being the underground. And then the Russian came. From one side the Russian came in Lublin, from the other side the partisans. And of course at that time the Germans was taken by surprise, because from both sides some of them escaped, but a lot of them became prisoners. And when I came to the city, I enlisted myself right away to the police. And I was about 2 months in the police. From the police I went back to the army, the Polish-Russian army. And we were fighting till the end.
Questionnaire number 1, camp questionnaire for Camp of Lipova. What was the date of your arrival in the camp? About winter, summer, the year.
It was in the summertime, but I don't know exactly.
Which year?
The year I think was in 40, I think in 42.
42?
Yeah.
By what method of transportation?
The borders in with the railroad, but of course with the cattle cars.
Did you arrive alone or with members of your family?
Alone. It was 2,500 war prisoners.
What happened to your family?
My family got killed.
Do you know where?
In Pinsk, in ghetto.
They were killed in ghetto?
In ghetto in Pinsk.
They were shot?
I don't know what way they killed them, but they killed them.
When you came to Lipova, was there a selection? Who was to live and who was to die?
In the beginning, no. In the beginning we came of Lipova, we came like war prisoners. It was mixed with Polish war prisoners and Jewish war prisoners. Later they separated, and then they took us every day to work.
What's the location of the camp? Near what city?
It is in Lublin. The street is Lipova, Sherem.
And what is the size of the camp? Do you remember? How many blocks? How many meters?
Oh, it was approximately about 4 blocks, square blocks.
What kind of guards did the camp have?
They had German guards, they had Ukrainian guards, and they had Lithuanian guards.
Was the camp set up before you came there, or were you the first?
Before we came.
Do you know when?
I don't know when, but it was an Arbeitslager.
Do you know the name of the commander of the camp?
It was the German's commander was Morfinkohl, a riddle in Hanke. There were 3 of them.
Do you remember anything about them? Can you tell me anything about them?
I remember one thing, they were murderers. They were beating every day, they were shooting every day, they were hanging every day. And what I heard lately, that they caught one of them, Morfinkel. And now he's going on trial. He's on trial.
How many Germans guarded the camp?
These 3 were always there, and then was another, I would say 10. The rest were helpers from the Ukrainian and Lithuanian.
And how many Ukrainians and Lithuanians did you have?
They had about 2 dozens Lithuanian and about 2 dozens Ukrainian.
And the Germans, were they SS or were they something else?
SS.
Do you remember incidents that could be used to accuse individual Nazis as war criminals?
Every one of them.
How many people were there in the camp?
It was approximately about 2,500 war prisoners, and they used to bring in every time civilians from the ghettos, mechanics, carpenters, shoemakers, all kind trades people.
What were the ages of the inmates?
You mean the war prisoners?
In general, the ages, all of them.
They were young from the army, approximately at that time in the 30s,
They were all men?
all men.
They were Jews and non-Jews?
In the beginning was Jews and non-Jews,
And then?
and then only Jews.
And what towns did they come from?
They come from all over the world. In the beginning was the war prisoners, and then they start bringing from all over, from Germany, from Belgium, from all countries.
You worked as a farrier?
In the beginning I worked like a furrier, the foreshop.
And then?
And then I became a Gruppenführer von carpenters.
Were there capos in the camp?
There was a few capos,
Were they good or bad?
very bad. That was German Jews capos.
What kind of food did you eat?
Potato peels and water.
Could you describe the daily routine? There was Zellapel, or there was...
It was an appeal every day in the morning before they used to send out to work. Some groups used to go out from the camp. Some groups used to work in the factories. And then used to be an appeal in the evening.
And then you went to bed.
And then we went to bed.
Were people killed?
Plenty.
How?
Every time when somebody escaped, they used to shot 2 or 3 or to hang.
Who did it? The Germans or the Ukrainians or the Lithuanians?
Mostly the Germans.
Were there actions in the camp? You know what this is?
Sometimes.
Were there attempts to escape
Yes.
besides yours?
Yes. Many escaped, yeah.
They were successful?
Some were successful, and who was caught, killed them right away.
Was there an organized underground?
Yes.
Was there planned resistance?
Right.
And there were contacts with the outside?
Yes.
Were there any attempts at cultural or religious activity?
Yes.
Like what?
We had a dramatic,
Yeah?
yeah. We had an orchestra.
Were there any children in the camp hidden?
No.
What was the relation between the Jewish inmates? Did they get along with each other? Or did they fight all the time?
No, they got it was different because some of these people, like I told before, from the people who used to live in Lublin, later when they liquidate the ghetto, some of them who was carpenters, tailors, or selected people from the ghetto, they brought him in to the camp. And at that time, we couldn't forget what happened in the beginning when they bought us for slaves. So, of course, it was a little bit of chaos between them and us. That's the truth.
And what about the relationship between the Jews and the non-Jews in the camp?
Good relationships.
Did you receive help from fellow inmates?
Yes.
Can you tell me about it?
Yes, we were sticking together in case somebody got sick, like we had a typhus epidemic for, let's say, for a half a year. So whatever we could, we helped each other.
Were you ever sick?
Yes.
How did you get well?
Oh, I was in a hospital, in-camp hospital.
Revere?
Yes. And later we were in another hospital in the city, in Lublin, where it got very bad with the typhus. So from the ghetto, some girls used to come, they used to help us, they used to punch us with cold water and helped a lot.
In the camp, were there any doctors?
Yes.
Was it official or was it secret?
It was official. It
Was
was
it German or Jews?
Jews.
What kind of clothing did you wear before you wore the Gruppenführer uniform?
We refused to take off our uniforms. We were fighting till the end from the camp. We were wearing our Polish uniforms.
What were the sanitary conditions like?
No good.
Did you or anyone else get mail officially or packages?
In the beginning, we used to get packages
From where?
from the Russian, where my parents used to live, from some cousins, from some friends, but was in the beginning only. Later, we didn't have any connections whatsoever.
Questionnaire 3, Resistance B, Forest. How did you get to the forest?
We couldn't stay anymore in the hiding place, so we went to the forest.
Were you a member of a predominantly non-Jewish group or a predominantly Jewish group? Was it mostly Jews or mostly not Jews?
Mostly Jews.
What was its name? Did it have a name?
It wasn't any formal, but it was Captain Hill. That's what they call this group.
Was there a command? What was the name of the commander?
The name of the commander was Captain Hill.
Oh. Where did you fight?
We were fighting around Lublin.
Tell us, in chronological order by dates, your experiences mentioning the details contained in the following questions regarding each of the units in which you fought. How did you get along with the commanders? How was the relationship between the commanders and the men?
It was very good relationships because we weren't too many and we wanted to survive, so like brothers and sisters, we stick together whatever we can every day. We didn't have any confidence in the outside other groups, but like I mentioned before, Hakar, because I had very bad experience. And whoever got lost or escaped somewhere, he never survived because whenever he fell in the Polish hand, he got killed. That's all.
What was the relationship between the Jews and the non-Jews?
Oh, not bad.
What was the relationship with the people living around, the people living like in the city or the country around where you were?
The time for the war was not bad, but later after the war, the first Polish people what I met, what I know even before, it was a surprise for them. Oh, you survived? So how come so many Jews are still alive?
Can you describe the armed actions in which you yourself participated? In other words, the things in which you fought.
You mean what we had, or? We were chasing some Germans. We used to go out to get some food, and whenever it was some guards there, if we could get a hold on them, all right. If not, they used to escape, or we used to chase them.
How did you get along with families or individual unarmed Jews hiding in the forest, if there were any?
We used to help them whatever we could. Some people what we couldn't take it into the group, and some people what older people we used to give them all the help that we could.
What was the attitude of the non-Jewish commanders and men to these family groups?
They couldn't do much for them.
But they didn't do anything bad to them?
No, they didn't.
Did your unit do anything to bring families or Jews into the forest?
Particularly my group, no, we didn't have any, not much connection.
Were people received in the unit that you fought with if they were unarmed to start with, or did they have to bring a gun?
There were some of them had guns and some of them didn't have guns.
But without guns you took them in anyway?
Yeah, yeah.
Where did you get arms?
Some arms we got later in fighting, of course. We used to steal and break, like I was in the beginning, in the camp of Lepoa Shedem, when I had a chance to get some arms. Some of them I bought, some of them we stole from the Germans. One friend of mine, he was working like a chauffeur for the NSD. And one day he had a chance, so we load the whole jeep with ammunition, with guns, and we put on clothes, and that's the way we got the guns and the ammunition.
Where did you get food from?
Food we used to get from the farmers.
They gave it to you or you stole it?
Some of them used to give, and if they didn't want to give, we took it.
In your group, was the discipline harsh, strict, or mild?
Strict.
Were people punished?
No.
What happened to women partisans? Did you have any?
A few, very few.
What work did they do?
They used to do the same work. They used to go out for patrol, or we had to go for food. They used to go also.
Were they treated with consideration, or, you'll excuse the impression, were they exploited sexually?
No, the same thing.
They were treated
Same thing.
well. Were there any children with the partisans?
No, not in our group.
What were the emotional or rational motivations of Jewish partisans for fighting? Why did you fight?
I would say the honest truth is to survive and to take care later, and that's what we had on our heart, that's all.
Revenge.
Revenge, that's all.
Was there any social activity, bonfires or stories or songs?
Not many.
Did you take any prisoners?
At the end of the war, I had prisoners.
What did you do with them?
I beat them, I spit in their faces, and I told them what they did to us, to our families. And I turned them over to the commander for the group.
When and how were you liberated?
Again, the date, I'm
About
not sure.
in
In
44.
44 in Lublin.
And what happened to you after the liberation?
I was for a short time in the police.